live, people. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to March 25th, 2024 edition of the Premarket Prep Session. This is a deluxe session, meaning that it is Monday, the best day of the week, because this is the day in which we have the most opportunity in front of us, which means that it could be the week that we change our lives, the weekend or the week that everything, turns different. There's nothing but opportunity in front of us. All we have to do is reach out and grab it, and that should be the most invigorating prospect, right, of today. So Mondays when we go over the week ahead, specifically when it comes to stock market news, any data analysis, news drops, important speeches, all of that we go over today. That way we can start to map out. What do we got going on here? Oh, it's all right. Oh, that's actually over here. That way we can start to map out. Got my vest. We can start to map out our path to profitability throughout this week. The stock market is an amazing place where each and every week, right, each and every day, we're presented with new circumstances to take into account, and make moves in light of that. And me as a very analytical person, I love that. I love like being presented with unique problems and solving them and constantly thinking and thinking hard. And, not that it takes that always to be successful in markets, but it definitely takes an element of that. And I'm happy that I can be here with you guys to apply that each and every week. So this week, let's see what we've got on the calendar for the week ahead, and then we'll go into our Monday specific news. But it's all with the aim of making sure that we are bringing home the bacon, right? Like last week was a great week. Both, again, positioning in some of our favorite long positions, taking profit on some long positions, as well as entering some shorter swing positions, that can still bring home some bacon for us. So this is a great time when it comes to long swings and executing on them, and I'm excited to be able to do that because then we can go about living our lives and letting them just bring home the money for us, make sure that they're working for us. So make sure you throw your ones in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better, right? That idea of getting better daily. The world evolves around us each and every day. It's evolving even faster now due to the addition of AI. So we always want to make sure that we are number one, learning some AI every week, every day if possible. Number two, learning how to put our money to work for us every week, at the least every day if possible. And it doesn't mean it has to be world changing, just picking up a little bit of knowledge here and there, right? A little bit of knowledge. It's better than nothing, and it compounds over time. So our top news here with the week ahead, let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. In the week ahead, the spotlight will be on a host of Federal Reserve speakers who will be returning from a blackout period following the latest FOMC meeting. With the Fed signaling confidence in three anticipated interest rate cuts this year, investors will be watching the upcoming speeches for commentary that will reinforce that messaging. Fed board governors will be giving various talks, capped off at the end of the week by Fed Chair Jerome Powell, participating in a moderated discussion at a San Francisco Fed conference. With the Fed's latest messaging, market participants have increased their expectations of a 25 basis point rate cut at the central bank's June meeting. Now, the economic calendar will feature the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. There will also be data on consumer confidence and durable goods orders. Turning to corporate earnings, investors will receive quarterly reports from pharmacy chain Walgreens Boots Alliance and the world's largest cruise line operator, Carnival. The week will also feature a potentially important investor day for parcel delivery giant UPS. FedEx just, had a great earnings report last year and jumped big on that. In terms of earnings this week, obviously things have slowed down a lot, which is nice. We've got nothing really on Monday. Tuesday, we've got McCormick, right? Put some seasoning on it. If you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. Like one of my favorite Instagram chefs always has to say. And then GameStop reports earnings as well on Tuesday. Carnival reports on Wednesday, and then Thursday we've got Walgreens Boots Alliance that's reporting. Anything else happening? Volatility watch. Options trading volume is elevated on SPAC player Digital World Acquisition, DWAC, ahead of the potential public listing of Trump Media and Technology next week. So that's, I believe, this week, since this came in over the weekend. So, yeah, we've got DWAC, right? Another faithful meme stock back here in the spotlight as we see, if Trump Media and Technology gets publicly listed and what happens with that and how that ends up, affecting the price. A lot of times DWAC has been like a buy the rumor, sell the news type of mover, where the rumor gets bought up and it runs, and then once the news is official and it gets declared, it drops. So keep that in mind here if you're thinking about throwing any money into the flames playing with DWAC. Again, I say that just because anytime you're dealing with like a meme type stock, you risk losing it all. So it's fine to do as long as you understand the risk and you're making money consistently in other ways and you're just taking a portion of profits and playing with it, right? Life is meant to be fun. You're supposed to have fun, but that, lottery ticket is not supposed to be the means of you putting food on the table consistently. I believe that is everything. In case you missed it, Broadcom, ticker AVGO, touts its latest infrastructure innovations. Altria, whose ticker is MO, kicks off accelerated share buybacks. Tesla curtails EV production in China. CrowdStrike and Zscaler best positioned following healthcare hacks. There have been numerous hacks all over the place, but the most data that you can get is by hacking a healthcare company, right? And what's crazy about them is that so many of them have such antiquated systems that make them so much easier to hack. So it's just weird that like these companies don't invest more in cybersecurity. But Crowd, ticker CRWD, and then Zscaler, who I believe their ticker is ZS. Both of those, I guess, best positioned following those hacks to see some increased revenue. Alphabet named a Wedbush best idea, and I believe that's pretty much everything for the week ahead there. So laying the groundwork in terms of our, schedule. You guys know that we check the Market Watch, economic/politics calendar. And Monday, we've got 8:25 a.m. Fed President Raphael Bostic. We've got a number of Fed presidents speaking this week. None of them really move markets except for every once in a while, like they'll say something that catches people's attention. But for the most part, we only really care about Powell. Tuesday, consumer confidence, Tuesday, 10 a.m. So that'll be fun. That'll definitely be something that moves markets, right? Consumer confidence data always does. So Tuesday at 10 a.m. right after market open, we will have something that can, cause some volatility. Put that down in your calendar. Tell your trusty voice assistant. Write it on a sticky note. Do whatever you need to do in order to remember the stuff that has to happen this week. And don't put anything past you, right? Oh, I should be above this. I should be above that. I'm not above anything. If I know what I need to do in order to get it done, I'm going to do it, right? I don't know about you guys. Throw a 2 in the chat if you're a quick mover in the morning. Throw a 3 in the chat if you're a slow mover in the morning. I am a slow mover, right? I understand that. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and I'll throw a 3 in the chat. I am a slow mover. If you understand certain things about yourself, right, and you're self-aware, then you plan for it. So and I'm never moved when people are like, why are you like Bailey, my girlfriend, a very fast mover. She could wake up. I'm astounded. It gives me anxiety the way that she will sleep in and wake up and still be ready to go. I don't understand it, right? But I'm not that way. So she always makes fun of me like you're getting up so early. If I have to be somewhere by 9, I'm up by like 6:30, right? Because I get up, I sit on the edge of the bed, right? I might walk around, I walk into the kitchen. Oh, what did I, what did I come in here for? Oh, I don't know. Let me sit here, look at the sunset. If you know you're that tight, give yourself the time to be that person. It's the same thing with markets and all these other things. If you've got to set 30 alarms, 10 reminders, write 5 sticky notes, put it in your calendar, right? Do it. Do it. It's as simple as that. But just know yourself and stop expecting you to be different. You're not magically. You can do things in order to help, kind of create the right systems for yourself. But at the end of the day, there are certain traits that are inherent to you. If you know you're not organized, right, and you don't remember things, you got to put those, safety precautions in place. Super important to do that. Now, Thursday, we get GDP, the second revision, jobless claims at 8:30 a.m., pending home sales at 10. So Thursday, I mean, we'll see if the GDP data, that might be the only thing that I could see possibly, but it's a revision. It's not like it's like being unveiled for the first time. And then Friday, we've got PCE index. So we've got inflation data. And we've also got Powell speaking at 11:30. So Friday will be the most important of these days with that inflation data at 8:30 a.m. and then Powell speaking at 11:30 a.m. So that'll be the one where we get the most, kind of craziness that's going on. I see a lot of you guys are the same way as me. I'm a slow mover, but if you know that, you don't put yourself in the position where if you need to be somewhere by 9, you're waking up at 8:45. I can't do that, right? I'm convinced that some people just have like a whole Iron Man type setup because like you'll leave the room for 5 minutes and you'll come back and they will have gone from pajamas to full blowout and makeup and outfit. And that's not me, right? So recognize yourself, who you are, and then put those precautions in place to make sure you're still doing the right things. Same thing when it comes to trading and all that. We've got a lot of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful long swing interests that we have taken advantage of over the course of the past week and a half, right? A number of different stocks where we're taking money, positioning it, and we can come back to 1,000% profit over the course of the next 3 to 4 months. That is something that's amazing and something that I'm not taking lightly. And I'm very excited for it. But if you need to, again, write a little reminder like, hey, by the end of this week, we close above here. Let me enter this, right? Let me enter this. Let me enter this. It's 3 button clicks that can net you 1,000% return over the course of the next few months. The one thing that's guaranteed in life is that time will pass. So you might as well make sure that that money is working hard for you based off of all these tickers that have been downtrending. They finally break that trend. The buyers are finally in control. It's the cheapest spot to get in with the biggest profit potential. And you just let it ride, right? And there's so many different tickers that you can be involved with. So I get it. Bitcoin will get big headlines. Nvidia will get big headlines. But there's always something that's moving. Oh, yeah, markets closed Friday for Good Friday. Yeah, that is true as well, Alicia. I didn't look into which one, whether I knew it was Friday or Monday, but thank you for letting us know. So that makes it a little bit easier right there. You don't have to worry about the volatility that will happen on Friday because we'll all be, celebrating Good Friday. So we got a 4-day work week this week, looking to take the most advantage of that. And again, that means positioning in places that make the most sense. And right now, a lot of those are long swings. So for my people who, you might be here, you might not be actively trading with us, executing with us, make sure that you, reach out to me, get involved because it's an amazing time. It has been in markets. We're continuously reaching new all-time highs, and there are things that are switching off doing it, right? Gold has been on a run while Bitcoin took a little retracement from all-time highs. We're making money off of each one, right? We were back in Bitcoin at 25,000 when I announced on here the inverse head and shoulders a number of months back, right? On Bitcoin. We got into FTX, nope. FCX, we got into that, right, 2 weeks ago, right before gold went on an amazing run, and FCX brought home big returns for us. And then as we approach these interest rates getting ready to drop in the middle of this year, we already have a number of beneficiaries, right, to that happening that have broken their downtrends, and they're already starting to run, and they will get super turbo rocket boosted when that happens. So they're already rocketing, but that rocket will go straight vertical. And this is the time to position in that. So just like at the beginning of 2022, when I said, hey, we're topping out, right? Putting in shooting stars. They're going to raise interest rates in March. You need to make sure you know how to make money off the downside. And then we went on to go into recession and we sold down for a full year, right? That is that exact same bell that's being rang now. Make sure that you put yourself in the environment that you need to be, right, to take advantage of these opportunities. And if you don't know how, simply reach out. Like, I'm a really approachable guy. I don't require a lot. I'm not over here grilling people, but a lot of times, pretty much 99% of the time, the only thing that's scaring you is those voices inside your head, right? Trying to keep you held back. Don't listen to them. Let's get to work and make sure that you're taking advantage of all these different opportunities, not just chasing stuff at all-time highs, because that's the worst. When you finally get forced into FOMOing into things, like you FOMO into NVIDIA and you FOMO into Bitcoin, meaning that you finally relent and you get some and you do it at all-time highs and then it goes down. And you're like, see, this is why I don't do what I do. That's not the time to stop, right? That's the time to double down, to make sure that you're actually getting in to the right thing at the right time. And I don't mean double down like keep throwing money at something that you don't understand. I mean, double down is like make sure that you are curing that spark and tending to that spark so it can continue to grow, right? And be the fuel for that engine that takes your money from point A to point B of profitability. In terms of top news here for Monday, battle of funds. So an exchange traded funds continue or as exchange traded funds continue to grow in popularity, asset managers are increasingly converting mutual funds to ETFs to adapt to client demands. There have been more than 70 mutual fund to ETF conversions in the US, and asset managers expect this number to continue to rise further over the next year. Now, latest update, PIMCO recently proposed its first mutual fund to ETF conversion of its $141 million mortgage-backed securities fund, joining other asset managers including Fidelity, JP Morgan, and BlackRock. To note, PIMCO's mutual fund offering saw $2.1 billion of inflows for the year, ended January 31st, while its ETFs recorded $3.9 billion of inflows. So pretty much twice as much money going into ETFs as mutual funds. Makes sense, right? People want a higher rate of return. The market is going up. You've got a number of things that are hitting new all-time highs. You've got AI that's coming in and being integrated in multiple different systems at different levels of these companies that will increase their profit margins even higher, right? It becomes a lot more advantageous to be invested in these individual companies than mutual funds, because how much these companies can produce is drastically going up, and the inputs they need to do it are drastically going down, right? All of these companies every day, you're seeing layoffs. What does that mean if I'm an investor? Less people that have to get paid, right? And I trust you as a company that's already at this level to continue to maintain that same level of profitability and productivity. So it's a great time to be involved in markets, right? Because you're having the costs for these companies go down, and you're having the ability of these companies going up. And these companies themselves are also becoming ETFs. When you're exposed to Apple, when you're exposed to Google, when you're exposed to Amazon, you are exposed to finance, products, services, cloud, healthcare, software, right? AI, you're exposed to all of it. So even these individual companies themselves function as ETFs at this point. So it literally makes 0% sense to be involved in a mutual fund. And people are starting to realize that. Now, digging deeper, while mutual funds have been favored historically, investors are now increasingly opting for rival products that offer lower fees and tax advantages. Quote, growing interest in active strategies since 2021 and the regulatory latitude granted to reorganizations of financial products into ETFs since 2019 have spurred increasing mutual fund to ETF conversions, said Peter Shea, co-head of ETF practice at law firm K&L Gates. However, while ETFs may be traded at prices less than their net asset value, mutual funds always trade at NAV without any bid-ask spreads. That's all that I'll, shove down your throat in terms of financial jargon today. But I feel like you probably got a good idea of, what I'm talking about by that breakdown that I gave in terms of like why, this is happening and what that means, for markets. I mean, it's good stuff for markets. More money in markets, more capital. Always better, can continue to push things, higher, and regardless of what direction it goes, we can make money off of it with options. But it's just nice because, keeping that capital in there can provide even better price action, more volume, more conviction with the moves, makes it easier for us to hop on that wave and bring home the bacon. In terms of tech news, chip ban. China has adopted guidelines to halt the use of U.S.-made microprocessors from Intel and AMD in government servers and personal computers. Notice NVIDIA was not mentioned there, and NVIDIA also came out the past few weeks, right, at their conference, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, saying that they have a specific chip that is, legal for them to use in China. So China's fine with it, the U.S. is fine with it, and NVIDIA continues to make money. I mean, Wong at this point is just a mastermind. Like this guy, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if he just was like an AI, right? Wong is just an artificial intelligence because the way this guy is moving and the way they're cranking things out and solving every problem is just mind blowing. The guidance also seeks to replace Microsoft Windows and foreign-made database software with domestic alternatives. Although investing group leader Daniel Sarita doesn't see this as a real threat. Yeah, the issue, with all of these different pieces of Microsoft hardware is that when they get the software update and they get access to Copilot, it has AI having access possibly to their files, and that's something that China does not want. I love having Copilot. Like I told you guys, I got a new computer. I've got Copilot on here. I've constantly gotten AI that I can just ask questions throughout the day. On Friday, for example, at the end of the day, I see, these defense sector stocks, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin starting to move. And then I go and I search a little news thing on Thinkorswim, and I'm like, putting in those tickers LMT, and then I see defense names start to move after Russian terrorist attack. Had no idea Russian terrorist attack happened. A ton of people, God bless their families. A ton of people passed. Had no idea what was going on. I go to Copilot, Russian attack, and then it immediately says this happened 15 minutes ago. Here are the details. Boom, boom, boom. Quick bullet points. Not some annoying, article that I found on Google where I've got to like go through 10 ads, and then no, it just gives me the information quickly. And the ability to do that locally on your computer, pretty amazing. But it also means it has access to certain things. And in China, I don't think you want a US company having access to those things, just like we don't want them having access to our things via the very invasive terms and conditions outlined by TikTok. So bonds, treasury bets. Famed bond investor Bill Gross has recommended betting on a flattening yield curve, noting that the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield is right where it was 20 years ago at 4.2%. Quote, I find it remarkable that 10-year interest rates are unchanged since the beginning of 2004, he said, adding that there is currently too much supply. Gross said the negative yield curve must go positive sooner or later if the economy is to stay positive. I am long 2s, U.S. 10-year, and short 5s, U.S. 5-year, and 10s. Recall that the yield curve between US 2Y and US 10Y once stayed inverted for the longest time ever last week as inflation continues to run hot. We don't do anything regarding, bond yields, so that news just is what it is. Economy, more economic news. Shutdown averted. U.S. President Joe Biden on Saturday signed into law a $1.2 trillion government funding package, averting a partial shutdown and ending months of wrangling between Republicans and Democrats. Biden's action came after the Senate earlier passed the legislation by a vote of 74 to 24. I don't really care about this. We do this every few months. It doesn't affect markets. Markets don't care. Therefore, I don't care. The government will continue to make sure that the government is okay. So I'll skip the rest of that story. In terms of today's markets, at least right now, looking like more red than green. In Asia, Japan down 1.2%, Hong Kong down 0.2%, China down 0.7%, India closed. Footy in London down 0.4%, Paris down 0.4%, Frankfurt down 0.1%. The Dow down 0.2%, S&P down 0.3%, NASDAQ down 0.4%, crude oil up 0.6%. No shock there. Gold up 0.4%, Bitcoin up 3%, back to $67,000 per BTC. Today's economic calendar, nothing super important. Let me also check and see if are we still roughly near where we were on SPY and everything when this came out. Yeah, roughly around the same area. Okay, cool. So fine with letting that stand as is. And we'll wrap up here with our rapid fire stock news rundown. So U.S. asked Ukraine to stop drone strikes on Russian oil refineries. 16 states sue to stop Biden's halt on LNG export project permits. It's liquid natural gas. Goldman looked beyond Magnificent Seven to Europe's granolas. FAA mulls limiting new routes for United, ticker UAL, after safety mishaps. Boeing union wants board seat to, quote, save company from itself. I mean, this company does not need to be in business. I don't know if you guys looked any deeper into that guy that was supposed to be testifying against Boeing, the whistleblower that was found dead. Dude was literally found dead in like a Holiday Inn parking lot in his car with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Like, that's straight out of a movie. Like, literally straight out. If somebody said, hey, you have to take out this witness, and it was the night before he was supposed to testify. Like, I get it. I mentioned this before when it happened, but that is still baffling to me. That is absolutely baffling. Like, and there's just no repercussions. Like, is there any looking into it? Is that, and none of the details surrounding his death have even been released. So it's just like, dude, at this point, Boeing is just a mafia, man. They're just a straight up mafia that is unchecked and putting planes into the sky that they just simply don't care about, which is wild to me how they can just continue unchecked like this. Like, at some point, you'd think like the president just steps in and is like, what, guys, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? What's happening? Airbus may buy some Spirit Aero assets, ticker SPR. Elon Musk, by the way, Airbus is Boeing's biggest competitor. Obviously, Airbus has been looking a lot better, getting a lot more business with the happenings at Boeing and surrounding Boeing. So good news for Spirit Aero Systems if they can get orders from Airbus because Airbus is getting orders from everybody else who's turning away from Boeing. Elon Musk celebrates as Neuralink patient tweets using brain chip. Pretty cool. Johnson Controls receives buyer interest for $6 billion of HVAC assets. Credit card delinquencies dip, charge-offs rise in muted February trend. And then Germany, cannabis legalization on schedule as bill clears final hurdle. That's something also that I was looking at as well. You've got a lot of these weed tickers, right, for lack of better terms, that are kind of showing some life here. So that might be something that we, look at this week because you've got a lot of them, cannabis, I think it's CGC. Yeah, Canopy Growth Corporation. You've got a number of these tickers that are starting to get a move on. And I'm not saying, oh, this is the time, go out and buy this thing, because these weed stocks have gotten absolutely hammered, really demolished over the course of the past few years. But it's just something that is on the radar this week. And I have a few other things that are on heavy watch this week that I'll get into, of course, within the Facebook group, because that's where I outline my trades, my opportunities, where I'm getting in for what price, where I'm selling at, and giving the game plan for how to make sure your money is the hardest working entity that you know. So last few things before we wrap this up. With it being a holiday shortened week, you guys know the drill. If not, I'll make sure to outline it for you on these. Yeah, Sharon. Look, Sharon. Oh, you know the deal. But with it being a holiday shortened week, typically that means less volume, right? All the big institutional money, they're not actively making a lot of moves. So we'll kind of continue that sentiment that we've had over the course of the past few weeks, which is leveraging our money and positioning it into those long swings, letting those do the work over time instead of looking, on more short-term stuff. So that will likely be the same trend. Doesn't mean we get no short-term things going. It just means that longer-term positioning is the main priority. And we can get some chop if we don't get a lot of volume this week because it is a holiday shortened week. So just keep all of that, in the forefront of your mind. The market will show us what it wants to do, but on a holiday shortened week, what you don't want to expect is like a bunch of volume or moves one way or the other. We can end up getting a lot of chop, some fake outs on low volume. So we'll see, what Monday looks like in terms of volume here. But having those expectations is really what frames how you move for the week. So I want to set those correctly. Also, I will be away from my desk today from probably like 10:40 to like, I don't know, 11:30. Just a heads up. But other than that, it's pretty much everything in terms of housekeeping. So let's make sure that we execute, we continue to get 1% better, and we close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Let's have a great day, everybody. I'm excited for it. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep stream. Have a good one.